What's up, everybody? Welcome to Flux Harmonic. I'm David Wilson, and we're back today with another stream where we try to build something cool from scratch. And today we're going to focus on the game we started, well, I guess for Ludum Dare 50 a couple weeks ago, but really the one that we started last week to basically say how we're going to finish this game called Siphon Break, or at least that's the name we're going with for now, because I may change my mind at some point in the future. But the goal today is to finish our implementation of pickup objects that apply effects, and then probably try to create a few interesting ones based on some of the stuff we talked about in the last stream. Hello to Alejandro and Luis. Thank you both for being here. I appreciate it. So, updates. Really nothing from the past week because my life has been total chaos. We are finally getting to the point where we're going to have a place to live in Greece. So that's exciting. I'm going to have like a whole, office studio set up there, which is great, but it's been, 6 months to get to this point. So, the final signing of documents and getting everything ready, it takes a lot of time. And last week was kind of crazy. And then since then, I kind of gave myself a bit of a break and got a little bit addicted to the game called RimWorld. So I've been playing that a little bit in my free time. So haven't really gotten much done on Mesche and the tools in the meantime. But there's actually, I did spend some time on some things, but it wasn't enough to talk about. But anyway, point being, I think that in the next weeks, we will see more output on Mesche and whatnot, especially around the sort of compilation of bytecode files into the final executable. That's sort of what I'm working on right now, which is going to be pretty cool whenever it works. Hello to Theo Peckley. I think that's how you pronounce your name. So yeah, today we're going to try focusing more on the game we've been working on. So in the last stream, we successfully implemented one important part of pickup objects. So if you've, hey Epensil. So if you've ever played a game before, which I'm guessing a few of you here probably have, a lot of times what you'll see in a video game is the ability to pick up some kind of item that is dropped, or maybe something just sitting there in the world, and it gives you some kind of boost or extra points or something like that. So we've been implementing something like that for this game, where you can pick up an item that maybe gives you a better recharge rate on your energy, or maybe gives you improved shield, or just increase some value that you have on some factor. So we implemented the part where we actually apply the effect, but we didn't finish the part where we actually make it so you can pick up the object that applies the effect. So in this stream, we're going to try to finish the logic for that, which is basically finishing the implementation of collision detection with those objects, and then applying the right effect based on the thing that you picked up, and then also trying to come up with a few different ways where you could pick these things up, and also effects for what they do. So we're gonna have a little bit of fun with that today. It won't be very hard, I think, so that's a good thing. So the tasks we have, first of all, obviously finishing collision detection. Next, making sure that effects are applied correctly, because we did a lot of refactoring of things before the end of last stream. So we need to make sure that what we did hasn't broken the stuff that we got working last time. Then once we get everything working where we can pick up an item and the effect gets applied properly, then we should probably try to think of a few different pickup effects based on the ideas that we discussed in the last stream. So we got some good ideas from people like Ashraz and others on what we could do. So we're going to try to take some of these ideas and apply them using the design that we came up with. Another thing we need to add is random pickup drops whenever you kill an enemy. So in this game, you're not really supposed to be shooting all the time, but you could make the sort of the design of the game a little bit more interesting if you make there be an incentive to sometimes trying to shoot down an enemy ship. So if you can tell that they have some kind of pickup that you might want, then you can make a decision at that point whether you want to waste some of your energy on shooting that ship, because the whole point here is that your energy is running out, so you're trying to conserve what energy you have left and maybe siphon some energy off of other ships. But if there's a ship that has something nice that you might want to grab, then you might be willing to spend some of your energy to blow it up, so that you can get the pickup that it has. So we're going to try to, maybe if we have time, add some pickup drops, and maybe have some kind of visual indicator that an enemy has one. So like when you spawn an enemy, maybe we can say that there's some random pickup that it has, and maybe there's like a circle. Well, we don't really have circles right now. We need some kind of indicator on the enemy that they have something that you might want to get. So we'll figure out how we'll represent that. Also, a question of whether we should destroy pickups whenever they're shot by the player. So if you're in the game and maybe you're shooting or maybe the enemy's shooting, does it destroy pickups? That's something we can discuss later and maybe implement if we think it's a good idea, but just another thing we could try. All right, so with that out of the way, let's jump over to the code. Nothing has changed in the game since last time, so there really isn't anything to show other than just the fact that it does work. So for those of you who may not have been here, this is the main title screen of the game. We just have a couple of instructions here. It's a little bit small because I'm not scaling the view because this screen size is like 3,800 by something is huge. So I don't scale it because on normal size screens it would be a little bit too big. Anyway, point being, I'm gonna press space to start, and then we're in the game. I'm flying my square ship around with the WSAD keys. Now these orange boxes that are flying down are actually pickups, and if I touch one, it says hit power up. So the collision detection is working. It's just a matter of making it apply the effect that needs to be applied, and I can shoot these enemy ships by the green ships by pressing K. So basically that. And then I depleted all my energy by shooting too many times, which is basically what's supposed to happen. All right, so we're gonna just say no to that and press Q to quit, and then we can go into the game code by going into the modules /main.msc file. So where did we have that hit power up string? Hit power up, because this is where we need to focus our attention right now. Hey, Piotr. All right, so check for collisions against power-ups. This is in the check collisions function. So this function basically does collision checking for all of the things that are on the screen that need to have collision checked. So at the end, we check for collisions against power-ups. And if we see that there's an intersection between the spheres of the player and the power-up, we say display hit power-up. And that's all we're doing right now. So now we need to think about how we want to apply the power-up. And I think it's coming back to me now what we had decided last time, which is that instead of having a global list of power-up effects in the main file, so in the record game, yeah, right here, we have this list of effects. Probably we don't want that. Instead, we probably want per player and per enemy to have their own list of effects that get applied every frame. So for the player, it makes sense. You would want to have things like, increasing the recharge rate for energy. But for enemies, you may want to have something like maybe the enemy gets damaged every frame. So like if you set them on fire or something, we could have things like that. So it makes sense to have effects on enemies as well. And really, if you do like an effect against all enemies in a particular radius, you would only want it to be on those particular enemies. So that means each enemy needs to have an instance of an effect so that if new enemies come on the screen, they don't have that same effect as what was there before. So there's a few different ways that this would be helpful if we change this design. So what I'll do is take effects off of the game state object and then move it over to player. We'll just start with player first. So let's see, weapon, we'll say effects here. And the general concept of an effect, if we go to the pickup, well, what was it? Power up? Yeah, power up file. So let's see, how are we naming all these things? Render power-ups, update power-ups. Yes, I think we need to change how this works. So maybe we need an effect.msc. So effect.msc. Maybe a better name would be appropriate, but let's just stick with this for now. So define module siphon effect. I believe that's how we're naming our modules right now. Let me just double check that. Yeah, siphon power up, siphon effect. All right. So for effects, we do want to have an update effects function. So I'm just going to, well, let's see. Yeah, let's just grab this whole thing and then drop it right in here. This does need to be exported. We're going to rename a lot of the stuff. In fact, let's just delete this. We don't need these position changes because, yep, this is exactly how we need to do it. Because this is only for updating whatever the current power-up is. So let me just uncomment these two lines. And I wonder if we need to have, Power up lifetime set. Maybe we don't need it. Power up time delta. Okay, so it's kind of kept inside of the function for the effect. So we'll take this off, and I'll rename a lot of the stuff. So we're gonna say power ups. We're gonna rename it to effects. All right, that's good. And then we'll just rename the singular power up to effect. All right, so next effect, just making sure that all this makes sense. Cool. Effect, update, func, effect. Now, I think that these should all just be functions by themselves. So probably, right now we don't have a record type for effects. We don't really need one. We're just storing all the logic inside of the closure of the effect function. So in fact, let's just do it this way, effect time delta. So we don't really need anything else. Let me double check in powerup.msc. We have in make energy power up effect. In fact, let's just steal that, put that into this effect file. I'm going to export it also. Okay, it's already exported, good. Energy power up effect. And the lambda takes the player and the time delta. Actually, this is interesting. Yeah, okay. So this really needs to be target. This is the first time that we've had a moment where, oh, okay, this only really applies against a player, so that's fine. Yeah, let's just leave it like that. That's fine. All right, now, back in the function for, we're still in effect. So effect time delta. Now, we also need to say what the target is. So update effects. We're updating the effects for a particular target. So we're going to add the target here as well. And then effect for the target for the specific target. So every time we call an effect function, we're calling it on a particular target, which could either be a player or an enemy or anything else really. The specific implementation of an effect function is going to take care of checking what type it is if necessary. So, so how we do effects is basically we have a function that returns a function. So we're creating a closure here in a scheme sense. And we have a lambda here that takes in the target or the player and the time delta since the last time this power up was updated. And we just do whatever we want inside that function. In fact, if we create a let block around it, we can store some state that can be updated inside of this function, which is kind of helpful. So we don't really need any kind of record type. We just need the state that's inside of the closure that we're passing around. Okay, so now inside of this module, we can say import siphon effect because we have power up here. This may also need to change. Power up should be like pickup potentially. So we'll change that in a bit after we've updated all this. Increasing the lifetime. Do we need that? So far, we haven't been using it, so we can just take that out for now. We're still updating the position, setting the new collision sphere every frame, and then rendering the power, power-ups. All right, we got everything else here. Spawn power-ups, update effects. Oh, we had a function for that already. Interesting. Let me go double check that this is the same as what I have right here. Yeah. Critter effects, car effects, player time, delta. Interesting. Okay, so I was sort of doing that already. Let me double check this logic. All right, so next effect, pair effects. Oh, okay, so I'm just calling this recursively, period. That works for me. Let's just change this because I like that a bit better. It's a bit more compact. All right, so I'll do that. Critter effects. If car effects target time delta const car effects new effects. So right, and then we return null. No, okay. This is next effect, and this takes 2. Ah, we're consting them. Okay, so car effects, new effects. We basically skipped it. Ah, right there. Okay, I'm sorry. Just trying to double check what I'm looking at. Whoops. So this part can go now. So then if it's a pair, if the effects list is a pair, the variable is a pair, we call a next effect with the cdr of the effects, and then we launch the function in if statement, and if it's true, we return the const of the car effects. Right. Car effects, new effects, no. Ah, we're keeping the list of effects. We're saying, okay, this one is still running. Otherwise, we don't return it. I think we still need to have the new effects list here. Otherwise, we're going to have a problem. That's a mistake on my part. So if it returns anything other than nil, add the effect to the new effects list. Otherwise, just return the new effects list as the second parameter to next effect, because we're basically taking it out of the list at that point. So that was probably a bug. All right, so that all looks good. Update effects, and we can take this function out now, I believe. All right, we're good. Let me double check that. Oh, we need a window, didn't we? Why did we need that? Apparently I wasn't passing it in. Okay. So then back in main, update effects, do I call that? Yeah, I'm not even calling it a window. Game effects set. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm actually going to do this in the update function for the player and the enemies, etc. So let's take this and then go into player.msc in the update player function. So we deplete energy first. Maybe I should apply effects first, just so that we have the latest values of anything that might be used. And then we'll say player effects set on that. Yeah, player effects set, player, update effects, game effects, current game. So player effects, player. And then we want to pass in the player and the time delta. So let's check that function one more time. Update effects. So it's effects target delta. Okay, so that's good. So we're basically just calling that on the function every time on the list of effects. Then we deplete energy, read controller state, and then we check if we're out of energy, blah, blah, blah. Just seeing maybe if I need to change the ordering of this stuff a little bit. I think this makes more sense. And deplete player. I'll probably add this to the deplete player function. And this probably was there for debugging purposes. Yeah, I think we should do this in the deplete player function. Deplete. So right here, drop it right there. Okay. So we're just setting the player state to depleted, and then that will affect the next frame, I think. Okay. So update player. Should just get this terminal out of the way. Sorry about that. So that's looking pretty good. So now we have effects on the player. Let's make sure that we also initialize this. I really need to fix this part. Effects, empty list. Okay. So we start with an empty effects list on the player. Then every frame in update player, we are calling player effects set with update effects. And then in update effects, we are running all the effects on the target object, and then whatever it does to that is what happens. I think that's good. So now we're going to need to include siphon effect here. Oops, effect. And let's go back to power up. Now we need to change how we are spawning power ups, maybe. Make energy power up effect. I mean, that's fine. I think this is fine the way it is. So all that should still work. So the whole point of this is now that we can go back to the collision function in collision, and we can apply the function for the power up to the player whenever the player collides with this power up. So we have, excuse me, in power up to MSC, we have, what's it called? Effect. So there's an effect function. Yeah, okay, that's good. Let's do it that way. So we're gonna grab that power up effect. Power up, because we have that car power ups. Car power ups. Okay. So we pull the effect out, but we also want to add that effect to the player. So I think it would be really nice for record types if we had a more general way to apply this. But we're gonna have to do it manually for now, maybe. Or we could just do this. Define player add effect. Player effect. Export it. And then we're just gonna do the same thing we would be doing anyway. So we go to, where do we have that? Player, what is it? Effects set right here. Let's just steal this. And then we're not gonna call it update effects. We're just gonna car the effect onto the player effects list. Okay. And that should do it. I just don't want the caller to have to deal with this record mess here. All right, so player add effect. I'm gonna give that a bang at the end so that it's clear that it's a mutating function. Okay, so player add effect. I think, okay, yeah. Where is it? Player and then this right here. Okay. Cool. I think that's good. So it's still gonna say hit power up, player add effect, but we also need to remove this power up from the list. So we need to have another one of these kinds of functions where we're chaining through the list of new power ups. New power ups, empty list. And we're gonna have to do the same little song and dance. So we have this thing here. Let's see, let next enemy, let bullets. If pair of bullets, shut collisions. I'm trying to see how I'm setting the bullets in the game. Am I returning the bullets? Okay, so if it's a pair, otherwise, huh? Oh, this is just checking collisions. Okay, but we do need a way to update them. Okay, that was what I was doing. I basically mark it as dead, effectively. Where do I do that? Alive set. Okay, so in power up, we need an alive flag. And then, yeah, in this section, this is where we can actually remove things from the list. And how are we doing that with, let's say with bullets, because bullets are being removed. We look at bullet, if pair bullets, if bullet alive. Cool, I think that makes sense. Sorry, just double checking something. Okay. If alive, then begin. Otherwise, what? Do nothing. Cooter bullets. Set new bullets. And then... does this logic make sense? I think this should be outside the let. Oh, no. Cooter bullets. Oh, right. Okay, new bullets. We're just setting it right then. Okay, makes sense. Let's just copy this pattern then. So the first thing we do is we check to see if the bullet is alive or the power up is still alive. So we do that. We already have it. Let's then add this part in. If... no, not that. Power up alive. Come on, can't type. Power up. All right, so if the power up is still alive, wow. Then we throw a little begin block in there. And basically do all the same stuff we've been doing. I think. So that's not in the begin. Okay, so let's take the next out. Whoa. Right there. Ah. And this does go in. Okay, so it doesn't go in the begin. Right. Oh, it doesn't go in the if either, does it? It's got to be a peer. Okay. So we'll just do that. All right. So the logic here is that we are checking to see if the power-up is still alive before we do anything. If it's not alive, we don't update the power-ups, the new power-ups list. But if it is alive, we will update the list, and then in the next sort of recursive call for the loop, we will pass that new power-ups list, whether it was updated or not, into the next call. All right, so if it's still on the screen, that's one thing. Yeah, okay, cool. Now, if there's a collision, we already know whether it's alive or not. So everything else is good. I think this is sufficient. So we also need to set the alive flag when we create a power-up instance. So let's go here, alive T. We want it to be alive by default. So now if we go back to collision, I know we haven't run the code yet, but I think we're almost there. Then at this part, we will mark the display hit power up, power up, alive, set, power up. Come on now. Car power ups, nil. So we're basically gonna say it's not alive anymore, so take it out in the next update. And then we add the effect to the player, and that should be enough to do the job. So remove the power up from the screen and add its effect to the player. All right. So now we should run it, and we'll see if it works on the first try. I don't know. All right, undefined variable pair, no kidding. Okay, so in effect, we need to pull in mesh list. So import mesh list. What else am I gonna be missing in here? Mesh math, for sure. Let's run that. Okay, here we go. Oh, Expected 2 arguments, we got 1. Line 53 in script. More than likely, it's going to be in power up. Line 53. Nope, not that one. I need to really write out what script file this is, but I think I don't have that capability yet. So, which other files have we updated? So collision, maybe 53. Next power up. Oh, okay, my mistake. I don't need this new power ups list. That's why we have a problem. All right, here we go. So now here's a power up. If I go touch it, player add effect. Oh, I didn't call that right. Like that. Okay, run it again. Now if I touch it, hopefully it will work. Boom. Up. Undefined variable card. Jeez, I really need to get these things sorted out. 161. Which one could that be? This? Nope. Collision? Nope. Power up? Come on. Which file is this? No. I think it must be in effect. Car. Yeah. It's got to be. Oh, no. It's got mesh list. That's possible. Mesh list. This does not have mesh list. There it is. Must be that. Is that line 161? Okay, so it is legit. All right, here we go again. Let's touch this one. Object is not a pair. 7. Interesting. So I hit the power up, and when I call car, must be on this. Car effects. Yeah, that's wrong. Cons. That was a mistake. Luis says, you really need to write an LSP module. Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing the whole time. Something like that. I really need some help. Oh, player energy amount set, undefined variable, line 24 in script. So, this one I'm wondering about where this effect definition belongs. Because we're going to have a bit of a circular dependency situation. So in power up, we already pull in player. So maybe we want to define specific power up effects in the power up file. So I could probably just move that effect back to that file instead. Because it's a power ups file after all. So if I put this right here again, then it should work. I don't want to do a circular reference because siphon effect gets pulled in by player. So then if player pulls in effect and effect pulls in player, then we got a circular reference situation, and Mesh does not handle that very well right now. Okay, let's try it again. There we go. Hit power up, and the effect does seem to be working because I'm getting a recharge on the energy. And then the power up disappears from the screen. The effect happens. Hit it again. Boom. All right. I think it's working. I'm fairly satisfied with that. Cool. That works. Great. Now I can take that hit power up message out. So back in collision, hit power up. That can go away. All right. Cool. Theo says consult rip rep would have been much more useful. Maybe so. Maybe so. So we got collision working on this. Let me double check everything here. The interesting thing, though, is that when the player touches a power-up, if the power-up is actually going to affect enemies, or the power-up does something to enemies, like let's say you touch a power-up and it causes all the enemies on the screen to get damaged somehow, then we need another sort of indirection for the effect, for like a function for creating the effect. That doesn't actually have to be here in the effect file. It could actually be in the power up file. But we need a way to pass in the set of possible targets that could be picked from. So let me see here. So this function, excuse me, the make energy power up effect function should take in the player, I would think, the enemies list. Oof. You capture that in the closure though, that's gonna be a problem. So how do we do this effectively so you actually get the right, no. That's right, because we don't want this. Right, okay. So let me look at this function. Make energy power up effect. Because the collision function is going to be calling these things indiscriminately. So it just adds the function directly. How do you know which one to add it to? So even this can't be exactly like that. That part's fine, but this part is too specific. It needs to be more generalized. So I think what we would end up with is something more like power up effect, which is a function, and you pass in the player and the enemies, which we have here as parameters of the function. And then that will do the, excuse me, the necessary manipulation to all of those. Yeah, all right, so here's what we'll do. We'll steal that, go back into power up. Make energy power up effect is going to return a function that returns a function, which is starting to get a little bit nutty here, but whatever. Lambda, player enemies. And then we can do this player effect add. Feels a little bit dirty, but it will work. Player effect add effect, player lambda, player delta, blah blah blah. And we're overshadowing player here, so we're not going to pull across the player from the closure, which is good. So current time 0, duration 3, looks all good to me. Yes, we need that extra level of indirection there to then create the right effect on all the necessary targets. So in this case, it would actually allow me to create the same effect across all these enemies if I wanted to. So that's something we definitely want. So what do we call this variable then? Because it's not an effect. It's more like an effect constructor. Well, we can call it an applicator. I know that sounds great. Let's go look at effect to applicator. No. Nope. Nope. Yes. No. Okay. And then back in collision, we're going to call power up applicator. Player enemies. Okay. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I like it. Is that really a word? Let's see. Applicator. Applicator, a device used for inserting something or applying a substance to a surface. Okay, well, it's a word, so we'll live with it. So we have that function. That should be sufficient. So let's try it. See what happens. I think it should be fine. So let's burn some inner. Whoa, undefined variable player, line 117 in script. Not this file, probably here, right? Make energy power up effect. Yeah, let's get rid of that. That was a mistake on my part. That too. Here we go. Let's burn some energy. All right, here we go. Let's touch this, see if it works. Oh, Record field accessor for type. Power up requires a single record instance argument. Line 49. Not there. Power up alive set. Power up applicator. So. Man, I really need to be writing out the files these are coming from. It would have to be this function, right? Record field accessor for type power up. Yeah, that's my problem. Car power ups. Right there. Okay, so power up applicator. We're pulling the applicator off that power up record instance, and then we're going to run it. Okay, makes sense. All right, here we go. Let's touch it. All right, seems to be working. Cool, cool, cool. Stacking of effects. I haven't thought about that one yet. It would be nice if you potentially couldn't stack them, but maybe you should be able to. Who knows? All right. That works. So now, let's commit this code. I just want to make sure. Well, yeah, let's do that. We'll just commit this code first. So effects, apply effects. We don't need that now. Let's go back into game. Do we? Yeah, we don't use effects anywhere. Cool. So in collision, we're doing the application of the effect. And player, we are applying effects. Okay, that's fine. All right, let's do this. We'll add that file. This file also has changed a little bit. That's good though. It's all good right there. Okay, so I'll stage this one and also this effect.mse file. Finished implementation of player power-ups and effects. So now we want to try to do something that applies against enemies. It would be nice if you could see the health bar of each enemy somehow, so you could tell how much energy they have left or how much shield, I guess you could say. Yeah. Well, I'm thinking of, like, you know, picking something up that gradually hurts an enemy. Another thing that would be nice is if a power-up could have a visual component, which kind of begs the question. Yeah, I think I'm going to need a render function. So effects probably cannot just be an update function anymore. They probably need to have both an updater and a renderer so that there's some visual effect based on something that's happening. Define record type effect, fields, renderer, updater. That's all we really need. So then when we create an effect, we kind of need to do both these things. So in the case of the, let's see. In the case of the energy power up that we just did, we will not return just a lambda. We're going to say make effect updater. That's going to be the updater function. We also need a renderer. In fact, it's probably better just to pop these out to separate functions now. So define energy power up updater, and then player time delta, and then we'll just take all this body, drop it in there. Okay, then we can clean that up. Also, we need the renderer, which will need the same. So renderer player time delta. Okay, so current time, yeah, we don't really need to do that. So how would we represent the visual effect of the power up render? This could be anything. So this could even be a glyph that gets rendered on the HUD, but it's a little bit, yeah, if you render the HUD after the player, then you might overwrite anything that gets rendered there. So maybe it's a glyph over the player. So let me see. When we render the player, oof. Okay, yeah. Update effects, player effects, player. This is going to change how we call these functions. So in the player, render draw rect. So let's just do a similar thing like this, just to have something drawing. So player X, player Y, player ship color. What we're gonna do is just make this a smaller sized rectangle. So maybe let's say 30 by 30 for now. Just something that we can start with. Define energy power up effect color RGB. For now, let's say 25500. We'll update the color later. So energy power up effect color. There we go. So that will draw a rectangle. We also probably want to see player X minus player size 2. In fact, we could add 20 pixels to both just to offset a little bit to make it more obvious. Let's just try that, see what it looks like. All right. So now I could put the updater function and the renderer function here. Energy power up updater, right? Is that it? Energy power up updater, energy power up renderer. I'm going to move this line up above that. All right. So renderer is energy power up renderer. Let's call these effect also, just to make sure that they are clear. Okay, so we got both these now. So in the effect class or module, we need to update how this stuff works because we're trying to call, so car effects effect updater. So this is going to happen here, updater. So we got to get the updater function off of the effect record and then pass in the stuff to it. And we also need a function for rendering effects. So we're going to copy this function and then update the name, render effects, effects target time delta. All of this looks good. Next effect. We're not going to do any of this updating stuff. So we can just use a very simple loop. Let's just delete this. Next effect. New effects is not necessary. Cooter effects. Yeah, let's just do this. We're going to render the effect for the specific target. And then just that. Delete that part like this. Effect renderer. And then pass in the renderer here. Okay, render the effect for the specific target. We're pulling the renderer off the effect record. We're passing in the car of the effects list. And then we call next effect with the cooter of the effects list. That all looks good. So now in player, we have to call render effects, renderer player. Oh, we don't actually pass in the time delta there. So let's just take that parameter off of this function. Yeah, so the renderer will not take a time delta. Okay, so now back in power up, let's make sure we have the right parameters for every function. Let's take this one off. The renderer does not take a time delta. So in theory, now we should be able to see the power up rendering whenever the object's on a pair 9 list cooter MSC. Let's see. Why is this happening? I'm probably calling Cooter on a record somewhere. What did I change? Let's just take a quick look at what I changed. Add effect. Okay, make effect. That looks good. That looks fine. That looks fine. Okay, so it's not this file. Must be in here somewhere. Car effects. Render effects. In player, render effects. Renderer player. I need the effect list, don't I? So in effects, that's right. Okay, this needs renderer and effects and target. Okay, renderer, and in player, renderer effects player. So player effects. Here we go. That should fix it. Ooh, nice little crash. Something is null. Something I did is calling Cooter on a null object. Ooh, let me think about this for a second. Is a garbage collector eating something? Render effects target. I wonder. Player effects player. Did I set that up? Update effects. Effects target time delta. Render effects target. So it must be the render effects call, right? Whoa, 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 whoa. Don't want ediff. So effects is, ooh, you know what? I bet I'm returning nil. Somewhere. If pair effects, okay, that should be fine, right? If pair effects, I'm not calling. Okay, let's do some process of elimination type stuff. We don't have any effects yet. So let's just go back to render effects. Let's just take this line out and see if we get the same thing again. Okay, so it must be the call to render effects somehow. So if I go into render effects, it must be that when I call, yes, it has to be that. So the effect. Huh. Interesting. So this function is used here. So it's possible that update effects will return nil, which means that this effects list will, or effects field will be nil. Maybe I should return if pair effects, return the updated effects list. Ah, that will return an empty list. How about let's try this. Something else is wrong. Something is definitely wrong. Car effects, Cooter effects. Effects. We're checking if it's a pair. Oh, no. That's wrong. Right there. Bad. That's the problem right there. I think the render, did I add that back? Render, yeah, okay. Let's do this. Okay, we're good for now. Let's see if we can catch one of these effects. And current time, line 93 in script. It must be in the power up, line 93, right here. Effect updater, set current time, snap. Problem is we need that closure for the current time. Yeah, that's the problem, breaking that out. So what I could do then is wrap this function call, I think, which is fine. It's not perfect, but it'll do. So I can do this. Lambda. This feels a little bit dirty, but maybe I can come up with a way to generalize this whole approach. Yeah, actually I could do that. But we'll do it manually first, and then we'll come with that later. So player time delta. And we will update the time that's stored in the closure first. If current time is less than duration, yeah, I could just do this whole thing, right? Well, no, let's not do the whole thing. Let's just update the time. I don't want to be heavy-handed with handling of time. All right, here we go. We're going to put this right here, and then we're going to call this, we're going to call this effect handler, effect updater. What was it with? The player and the time delta, or is it current time? Current time minus duration. So this just needs to be current time. Okay, this goes away. Time delta still wants it. Okay. That works. So let's go back here. Current time delta. A little bit kludgy for now, but I think we can come up with a way to make this better. Okay. Let's run it. Now. Okay, undefined variable duration. Okay, so we're missing a lot of our stuff here. I really don't want to inline that whole function body, but I might have to now that I look at this. So let's just do that. I was trying to be clean, but can't really be clean whenever you have to use closure. The alternative is to return some other record type. I just really don't want to do that. Whoa, what did I do? Okay, that's all right. And then I can get rid of this function because the body's empty now. All right, let's do this. Okay, let's try to catch this guy. Energy power up effect updater. Energy power up. Get rid of that. Okay. My mistake. Okay, now we get the little red rectangle rendering, which lets us know that the effect is currently active. Cool. So this would probably be something I would put below the player. So how about this? Yeah, interesting. Might not be able to generalize this so easily for the rendering aspect. That's fine for now. Okay, so I wanted to change that power up to just affect the way it renders slightly. So player Y, let's go back to this. So player Y minus player, I actually want to do this. Player Y plus player size divided by 2. And then plus another, oh, 15. I don't know. So that's probably the way, wait, player, yeah, right. I think that's what I want. So I want to go below where the player is. And then here, I want this to be, well, is that right? 15. So player X divided by 2 minus 15. So center the glyph below the player ship. All right, let's see what happens here. That's not what I expected to see. Player Y divided by player size divided by 2 plus player Y, right? Plus 15. Oh no, that's right. It's the size. Player X minus player size divided by 2 minus 15. Now that's not right. That's actually wrong. This needs to be minus 15. Because the XY position is the center of where the player is. So it's, the size of the glyph divided by 2, which is 15. And then player size divided by 2 plus player Y, which is the bottom of the player, plus 15. That should be right. Hey, Fade. In theory, it should be right. I don't know if it's really going to be right in practice. We'll see in a moment. There it is. Okay, that's exactly what I wanted to see. And it goes away as soon as the power-up fades out. Oh. Cool. All right, so now we've got rendering for power-ups. We could just do a little check-in for that one too, I think, just to make sure we keep things clean. All right. So add renderer support for power-up effects. I'll push that here also because we can kick out a build. Cool. Now, so let me go check our to-do list. All right, so finish collision detection for pickups. We got that done. Make sure the effects are applied correctly. We got that done. Add a few pickup effects based on the ideas we discussed on the last stream. So let's take a look really quick at the to-do list. To-do.org. So add power-ups that are dropped randomly. General energy boost. So what we have now technically is the boost. You get it and it will give you a boost of energy for some short amount of time. So that one works. Speed boost. That would be, I think, kind of easy to do. But it makes me think, how do you draw glyphs for both energy boost and speed boost in a way that they don't even know that each other are currently both applied? And how many effects can be applied at the same time? That's another good question. Would you allow infinite effects to be applied, or should it be maybe 2 or 3 or even 1? Because right now we've got a list of effects, but maybe just a single effect. And if you pick up another one, maybe it cancels out the previous. I don't know. That's another thing that we need to figure out over time as the game mechanics start to reveal themselves to us a little bit better. Energy recharge speed boost. Oh, right. So energy siphon speed boost. Yeah, and the siphon range extender, that one's pretty cool. Like if you pick it up and it extends the range of your siphon. Screen bomb, hurt enemies. on screen. That's kind of the one that we're planning for a little bit. Time dilation, we could do that, but I think that one is a little bit out of scope for what we're doing in this one. So what I would like to do is add speed boost for sure. Screen bomb for sure. So let's move that up. And then energy siphon speed boost. We could do that. Let's see. Siphon range extender. Okay. So let's start with the speed boost. So what that implies is that we're going to need a way to affect the player's speed. So we have velocity X, velocity Y, but I think we're going to need a speed variable here that will allow us to affect the speed. Currently, speed is defined right here, player move speed. I mean, in theory, we could define player power-ups in the player file. Is there any reason why we couldn't do that? Because we're already pulling in player here. The power-up itself doesn't seem... Well, okay. So that's the problem. Player would also depend on the power-up. And this power-up spawners list would need to be managed somewhere else. But that's okay. We could do that actually as part of the game file. So we could pull in all of the power-ups we want to spawn and put it into the game. And that actually may change per level. So putting it in this file as a sort of a statically defined variable may not be the right approach. So that's possible. Spawn energy power-up. So let's take this. Put it into the player file. Actually, we probably want... Nope. I want to grab that too. So let's just change the design slightly here. Drop that in. Okay, so this power-up spawners. Power-up spawners. Now, where does it get used? Power-up. Come on now. Power-up spawners. Can I type? There we go. Spawners. There they are. Spawn power-ups. Now, I think I could just make that be a parameter too. Spawn power-ups. Power-ups, spawners, total level time, blah, blah, blah. Then the game could pass this information in directly. So if I did this instead, went into game, oh no, main.msc, where that code lives. No, wrong one. Main. Then, let's see. Game, initialize game, end game. It could be part of the game record. But for now, I'm not going to make it part of the record. I'm just going to put it in right around here, I think. Or even here. Power-ups. Then we'll expand on that later. So we're going to make the array. We're going to add the spawn energy power-up, player power-ups. Well, really, there's only player power-ups, aren't there? Because it's a power-up that a player would pick up. The enemies don't pick up power-ups, so it's always player power-ups. So... sounds fine. Let's just leave it like this for now. So now spawn power-ups. We have the current power-ups list. Power-up spawners. We'll just put that as the first parameter. We're going to go into power-up here and put in power-up spawners. And that should give us the ability to push that in. Now, siphon player is no longer needed here. I don't think. Player, yeah, good. Because we don't want that for sure. Do we use window for anything? Yes, okay, that's fine. So back in player, we have the information here. I can also put in siphon power-ups. Let's move this down to be alphabetical. And we need to export this function, which is already exported, which is good. I think we should be able to just run this now. Spawn energy power up, undefined variable line 81. In game, probably. Main. 81. Spawn energy power up. Oh, that one is not exported. Okay, so go back into no. In player, let's take the export off this one and then add that to spawn energy power up. Right there. Okay, now this should be spawning the right way. Oh, it's not. Make power up. Oh. What? Did I call that wrong? Yeah, okay. It's power up, not power ups. I really need to error on unknown module names. All right, here we go. So it spawned it correctly and it applies it correctly. Good. So now that means, doesn't matter. Oh, the only reason I did that is so that I could reach into this variable here and just change it directly without having to make this a field. So player move speed. Yeah. Okay, that's fine, whatever. All right, so let's do another one here for the speed power up. This feels like it should be in a separate module, to be honest. Spawn speed power up. What's up with the X and Y? Oh, okay, yeah, that's just spawning the position, size 85, the color. Where's the color? Okay, we need a different color for this. Maybe it should be more of a red. So let's go to RGB color picker. So if I do, we already have an orangey color. Maybe a greenish color more indicates the speed. So 197. I'm going to be making sprite art for a lot of this stuff and not just using plain old RGB colors. I mean, it looks very Atari right now, but it will be looking a bit better in the future once I learn how to draw. Okay, speed power up, size 85. The other interesting thing about these is that should there be any characteristics of the power-ups that make them move differently based on what type of power-up it is? Like maybe a speed power-up moves fast and it's harder to catch. So some of that stuff we will have to think about modifying in the future. All right, so make sphere, power-up effect, velocity. Yeah, let's make it move a little bit faster. How about moving it at 500? I don't know, that might be too fast, but we'll see. And we also need to have a maker function. So if I drop this in right here, make energy power up effect, make a speed power up effect. Duration 3, let's say maybe a duration 5. And then player add effect, make effect, updater, time delta, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, we can just do that. Set player move speed 700. We'll see if that's too much. Actually, player speed or maybe new speed. How about that? We also need to go back to the previous one. So if it's less than, set it to new speed. Otherwise, set it back to the default speed, which is 500. Now, player default move speed. Player move speed. Let's do this. Player default move speed, and then we'll say, whoa, come on. Player default move speed, just like that. Okay, so if it's less than, we also need to return nil at the end of this function. So let me do, whoa, let me do a begin there. Come on, hello. Set the speed back to default and return nil to finish the effect or remove the effect. Okay. And then the speed renderer, we're going to need one of those. No. Speed power up effect renderer. We'll do something cheesy for that for now, and then we'll make it better another day. So we have the speed power up effect renderer, speed power up effect renderer. We will offset this a bit more on the x-axis. So let's say plus 20. I don't know. Might be cooler to have like some arrows going up on the side of the player, or maybe like, here, let's add some notes to do. Add a particle effect coming from behind the ship to make it look, come on, like it has improved boosters, I guess. That'll be cool. Can I do Alt Q? Thank you. All right, so that's good. Now we want the effect. Did we copy the effect color? Did I screw that up? Let's just use the same one. How about that? The effect color should be the same. So speed power up color. Define speed power up color. Boom. And then we're going to use that right here. We'll take the effect off because this is actually the color for both the pickup and the effect. So for now, it seems right. We'll have to check it out. But first of all, we need to go back to main and add this to the list of spawners. So spawn speed power up. And do we have that exported? Yes, we have that exported. So let's give it a shot and see if it works. All right, that's not one, but we'll pick it up anyway. Boop. Here we go. Whoa, that thing's moving fast. Don't feel like it is moving any differently, to be honest. Boop. Yeah. Oh, hold on. I did the wrong thing. Make speed power up effect, and I think we wanted it to be 700. So I basically just added another energy power up. But this should work now, I think. Catch that one. Oh, get this one. Bap. All right, yeah. I think it is faster, to be honest. Yeah, it definitely is faster. Oh, I better stop moving. I'm gonna deplete my energy. There it is. Boom. Cool. That works. Let's add a little bit of an extra offset when rendering that. Maybe even 25. So we did add a second one there. That's cool. All that looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm gonna add this file, add that file, that one too. On the to-do file, let's actually go, well, no, I'll update that later, but I will mark that off because we did finish that. Add player speed power up. I'll push that. Now let's go back to the to-do. Screen bomb. This will be interesting because this will be the first time that we will apply effects to enemies. Fade asks, how does it display if you've caught more than 3 power-ups? Right now, I mean, it's all dependent on which power-ups you've caught. I need to decide what we want to do about multiple power-ups. Is there a limit to how many you can pick up? And if there is, how do you, or if there isn't, how do you visually identify them? I think that all of them need to have a unique way of being visualized so that it doesn't matter how many you have. If you can pick up 1 or pick up 3, they should all be rendered in a way where you know that you have any of them. So it's just a matter of improving the visuals at some point in the future. Right now, we just want to get the gameplay working. So screen bomb. Let's take a look at that one. This is going to be interesting. I will grab all of this. Screen bomb weapon power up. So let's see. What do I want to call this? It's not really screen bomb. We could call it heat wave because it would be like you're shooting like a wave of heat out from your position and you're setting other ships on fire effectively. So that's kind of cool. All right, so heat wave power up. I guess the question is, with things like this, some of them are weapons and they need to give you something like a weapon instead of immediately applying an effect. So the fact that we've gone to this generalization on power up applicator functions is good because it means that instead of immediately applying an effect function to the player, we can give them something that they can use later. You can give them an item. So I kind of like that. This may actually be a place where we can try that. Let me think about that. Okay, so maybe we need the concept for the player to be able to pick up items that can be used. So instead of effects, we also have items. I also have this weapon here as well. We could change weapons at some point in the future. I just haven't gotten there yet. So create player, effects, items. And I guess the question is, should it only be a single item? Kind of like Ninja Gaiden, where if you pick up, or even Castlevania, I guess, if you pick up an item, it replaces the previous one you had. So maybe that is what we need to have. It's better that way because then you don't have to deal with switching, which is the current item, etc. So maybe we can have held item. That's good enough for now. It's another sort of dimension on which a player has to make choices. So, you know, pick up another item or keep the one that you currently have, that kind of thing. Okay, so we got the held item. And that's actually something that HUD would try to render, I think. So let's go back to player. Oh, Fade says, I feel like player.msc should be called entity.msc. Well, maybe. Enemy and player do share some core behavior as far as updating and rendering is concerned. So a sort of common entity type could be useful, but right now I don't have any concept of inheritance. So to create a player that inherits from entity or anything like that, really what we need is like an entity component system where you can kind of glom these behaviors on to an entity ID, but we don't have that either. So that's something we can add in the future. It would be nice to have that, but right now we don't have that capability in the language yet. Okay. So this is in the section for the heat wave power up, and for heat wave we definitely want like an orangey color. We've got so much overlap in colors right now though. I think I need to start doing graphics because we can't tell them apart anymore. Okay, so the heat wave power up color, we're gonna just drop it right here, and that's good. So heat wave damage effect. So this is going to be the damage effect renderer, and this is also going to be the applied to the enemy. So then let's actually do this. Player to enemy. Okay, and then make heat wave damage effect. We'll say, well, damage amount. And lambda player enemies. So in this case, we're going to add the damage effect to all enemies within a specific radius of the player. So we'll have to do that. Let's just set this up a little bit. So let next enemy. Can we do that easily? I gotta like calculate the Cartesian distance or something. I could just start with letting it be anything that's on the screen. Fade says, do you see an object system fitting within Mesh? I don't know yet. I mean, I need to look more into CLOS and see if there's anything that I want to steal from that idea-wise, because it does have some of the more like componentized functionality that I'm interested in. So I don't know yet. At some point I'm going to need it, because I can see already that it's hard to do good modeling without some of the features that you might come to expect from a language. However, I want to do things in a way that actually is very memory efficient, or like cache efficient, and doing it at the level of the Mesh language may not be the best place to do that. It may be that I need to go down to C structs and organize the memory in a certain way. So I've got a lot of thinking I need to do on how C structs should be exposed, and also how I can use them effectively for like an entity component system implementation. But that's another thing that comes later. For general application programming, having an object system of some sort definitely makes sense, but it hasn't been a priority yet. Next, enemy. Enemies. And then for each enemy, we're just going to add, we're just going to mutate the enemy. So next enemy, Cutter enemies, that should be it. We also need to do the little if check. So pair. Am I doing a pair check in this file? I must be. Come on. Pair? No. Must be in pair. Okay, there we go. Right about... Whoop, nope, not there. There. Enemies. Boom. If pair enemies, next enemy, Cutter enemies. We also need to begin here to do the application of the damage effect. So Add the damage effect. Okay, so that's good. This player add effect can now be, well, no. Let's steal this part and put it right here. Like that, but I will comment it out for now. Then I can delete this part. There we go. All right. Probably need to abstract this into a function too. Okay, so player, enemies, next enemy, blah, blah, blah. That all looks good. So spawn heat wave item. So it's not even a power up anymore. It's really an item, but let's just call it power up for now. Speed heat wave power up color. Did I call it that? Heat wave power up color. Okay. And make heat wave damage. No. We don't want to do that. Add heat wave item. Player add heat wave item. That's kind of what it needs to be. Or make, yeah. Yeah, okay. Okay, here's what we'll do. Player add heat wave item. Player add heat wave item. Player add heat wave item. Okay, player add heat wave item. So this is going to be a little bit different because we need to make an effect, but it doesn't get applied until later. So, okay. So we need two functions, actually. So let's do this. So make heat wave damage effect. We need this to be separate, okay? Make heat wave damage effect, and yeah, because this needs to happen whenever the player uses the item. So there's a different mechanic involved here. What about update player? Do we have enemies here? No. Okay. That's fine, though. All right. Yep. Makes sense. So we have this make heat wave damage effect. We also need the function that I added called define, what was it? Player add heat wave item. Not the greatest name in the world, but that's okay. And then damage amount. That's fine. This needs to be or return a lambda, I'm guessing. Let's see. No. So player held item set. What we need is to create an item that can be used, and it's basically a function that gets called, but maybe we need some data on that too, some metadata. So how about this? Pickup versus item. Maybe we'll just do it there. How about that? Let's just say pick power up, power up. All right, so we're going to define a record for item as well. Define record type item. Fields, renderer, and applicator. Or applicator is not necessarily the right name. We'll just leave it as that for now. Okay, so then we can, well, I don't know, renderer. We don't really need a function for that because the way I imagine this is that there's just going to be a sprite that gets rendered. So maybe we could just say color for now, which is not great. We don't have sprites yet though, so come on now. All right. So we have item, we have the applicator function, and what we'll do here is say make item color heat wave power up color. That was nice. And then applicator is going to be a lambda. And what does it take? Probably needs to take player and enemies, just like the other one. Enemies. So you could pick up something and it will hold that effect until later. You can just wait and decide to use it later. All right, so player, enemies. Yeah, so like you could pick up a battery, let's say, and you could use it at some point when you really needed it, instead of it popping immediately. That could be cool. That's a good idea, actually. All right, so now that we have the lambda, we could, let's see, make heat wave damage effect. Well, isn't it just this? I just call make heat wave damage effect. Yeah, I think so. Make heat wave damage effect. So make heat wave damage effect. Make heat wave damage effect. I don't know. $10 is how much damage we want over some period of time. Or, yeah, okay, let's just call it applicator. Okay, so held item set, we're creating an item that has a color, has an applicator, and then whenever the player uses it, it will call that applicator function with the player and enemies, and then it will decide what to do with that. So it could apply things to the enemies, etc. All right. So how about we do this? Display applying heat wave effect to enemy, just so we can see something happening. Player add heat wave item, player add heat wave item. Okay, so the applicator here is player add heat wave item, and that's just going to add or replace the set item, which really is just this make item. So there's a very specific function that's needed for this. Then define player add item. Kind of like that, right? Hey, Alex. Yeah, we're working on some power-ups and some items that can be used in the game. All right, so then we'll just say item there. Is that what we want? Oh, we need a lambda. Lambda player, right? Oh no, player enemies. Player add item. Yeah. Cool, let's do that. And then here, player add item. We don't need separate functions for all these. We're just going to do this number right here. Okay. Player add item, make item. Let's just drop that down a little bit. Heat wave power up color, make heat wave damage effect 10. All right, so this is like storing an effect basically to be used later. Okay, so spawn heat wave power up, player add item. We can sort of move this back up to this section here, I would say. Player add item. In fact, we probably want to bang on that. Oh no, it's actually not adding the item immediately. Let's say player item applicator, huh? Player item applicator. Wrong. Come on, go down to the bottom, right there. Player item applicator. Sounds great, right? Okay. We're getting real close here. So we also need a button for use, I think. Maybe we need to use like H for that. We'll have to figure out how to work that in. So first of all, let's make sure we have everything we need here. We have make heat wave damage effect. We have an effect renderer that does this based on the enemy. Heat wave power up color. Let's just leave it where it is, or maybe, it's fine. Let's leave it right there. It's fine. Make it look like it is on fire. Okay. Damage effect renderer, and the updater. Where is the updater? We need to do this still. Move speed. Where is power up effect? Nope. Right there. Player energy amount set. I need to set the energy shield, the enemy shield in this case. All right, so if less than duration, let's do this. Get rid of that, and also this. Oh no, that's the wrong place, right? Time for some particle effects. Yeah, it's very, very soon. We're gonna need that. Heat wave. What do they call it? Heat wave damage effect renderer. Okay. And enemy shield amount. Is that what I called it? Shield. Really? Just shield? Okay, whatever. Enemy shield set. Enemy. We also need to change this to enemy. All right, got all that. And then max of 0. We're gonna minus this. Enemy shield. Enemy. And then where is shield amount? Okay, I didn't have a value for that. That's fine. So enemy shield, enemy. Wait, what? Yeah, we're just getting a step on that. Duration, do I have duration? Okay, 5, cool. So duration times time delta. That's wrong though. It needs to be multiplied by the max shield amount so it's constant, because otherwise it's going to be changing every time the shield value changes. So what if we do shield and shield max? Okay, there we go. Kind of need that. Okay, so enemy shield max. That works. So that should chip away at their health over the frames. And I think that for weaker enemies, it should kill them immediately. In theory. I mean, maybe I can jack this up a little bit at first just to see that it works. But the alive versus dead thing, I wonder if it's going to work correctly. Let's put this to 20, because I think that one of them is 20. Yeah, okay. Now, that whole 5 seconds thing, maybe it should be shorter. So duration, 3 seconds. They can still do some damage to you while they're burning to death, effectively. Okay, so 10 minutes left. Let's see if we can get items working. So I think we have the effect implemented more or less correctly at this point. We're going to find out. We also need to do a pickup and then have a use function. So let's go into controller, is it? Input? Input. Okay, fire, siphon, and then we also need a use key. We have a shield key. I haven't used that before, I don't think. All right, so siphon command, fire command, use command. Okay, cool. Use command, controller input of it, controller use set, controller input key down input event. All right, use command. Okay, so let's do that. Let's call it use item command. Use command, use item command. All right. And we'll drop this below. No. What? There it is. Okay. So that should bind our use item command. Now, what do we do with it? Let's go back into game, or main actually. Siphon with an I. Controller, game controller, controller siphon. Okay, cool. So here we are. Siphon energy if necessary. Use item if necessary. And we'll do, why am I calling this twice? That's wrong. Oh, did I just add that? Why is it doing that twice? I can't be right. But we will copy it anyway. I should have just left it there. Here, let's drop that in. Okay, so controller use use item, game controller, current game. So if the player has an item, if player held item player, I mean, I guess I could just call a function on the player. Yeah, how about that? Player use item player. And this actually needs to be game player current game, I believe. So I don't need the if. I can just defer to that function. And then for this, delete it. All right, now in the player file, we can have a, where is the item thing that I have there? Item usage. Define player use item player. So then, if player held item player, then begin. At the end, we're going to player held item set player nil. We're just going to clear it. So clear the held item. We also need to run the applicator. So we need to put in enemies here. Run the items applicator function. So item applicator, player held item player. Now we're going to call that like a function. We're going to pass in the player and enemies. There it is. So that should do the trick. Let me actually just display using item, just so we know what's happening. All right, now I need to go add the heat wave. What's it called? Spawn heat wave power up. We're going to put it in main. Spawn dash heat wave power up. Honestly, with some of these power ups, we need to affect how often they show up. So that may need to be a tune parameter for each of these. Okay, controller use item. Control, oh, no. Use. Use item. Fields. Oh, we don't even have it here. How about that? Use item. So shield, I don't think we're using that anywhere. Was it controller shield? Yeah, okay. So that can go for now because we don't really have that concept at the moment. Okay, let's see if I can pick up an item. Is that it? Must be. 184, probably in player.msc. 184. Hello. Ah, yes, absolutely. So we need to have player here. Here's one. Boom. All right, so we caught that item. Cool. I think that worked. Undefined variable controller use set? No. Okay, I think I messed that up. 47 input. Controller use set. Use item set. That's what we need. All right, here we go. So that did sort of work. Or at least it got us to the beginning of it. Here we go. All right, player use item, undefined variable. I think I did not export that function. Player use item, export. There we go. Let's try it again. All right, so expected 2 arguments, but got 1, 275. Not that file. Maybe it's main, 275. Come on, 275. Right, player use item. Oh, I need enemies also passed in. Game enemies, current game. Yep. There we go. Almost working. I think it worked. Applying heat wave effect to enemy, and I can't press it again. And that's the energy boost, okay? So it's good to know that it's spawning different types of power-ups right now. It's spawning way too often, obviously. Let me get that one. Boom. All right, so 3 enemies are on the screen, I think. Two are on the screen, okay. So I don't know if they're actually being burned. Oh, the rendering is not happening. So maybe that's what's going on. Okay, we're almost there. It's partly working, I think. We need to render in the HUD that there's an item, though. Let's see. Main, how fast can I do this? Let's see, render rect. Where am I? HUD. Update HUD, render HUD. Okay, so we have the shields, energy meters, draw the score. Where am I putting all that stuff? Okay, right above. I need to make some space above there, probably. Okay, how about this? I'm going to just print something out of the console for now, just so that we know that we picked something up. Player item applicator. Okay, so display. That's good enough. To do, draw this in the HUD. So I'm just trying to get this done because we're right at the time where the stream is supposed to end. So the next thing is just to make sure that it gets applied correctly to the enemies. Now, applying heat wave effect to enemy. Okay, we didn't do anything. We just called make effect. We actually need to add the effect to the enemy in this case. So player add effect. I effectively need to copy that to enemy. Where will we put that? Let's put that below the update function. Update enemies. Let's put it right there. It's great. So enemy add effect player enemy go into the record type, effects. We need to go into the place where we create enemies. So let's go below sphere, effects, empty list. We only have those two for now. Good. All right, so now we have that. We also need to call the update function. So update effects, and that could be at the very beginning of updating the enemy. Begin. There we go. Increase the lifetime, update the enemy. Let's apply effects here, I would say. Do I have enemy? Yeah, okay. Cool. And then, should we fire? I think we should check if the enemy is dead first. Okay, okay, all right. It's right there where it gets checked. So the next frame, it will be checked. Let's try it, see what happens. Oh, I didn't do the rendering of the effects. So in player, render effects. I'm just gonna steal that line right here. Go back into enemy, render enemies. After this render draw, render enemy effects. Let's do the same thing in player, just to break it up a little bit. Render. Okay. Space to start. Let's see if we can catch one of these. Uh-oh. Undefined variable update effects. Okay, enemy needs to pull in siphon effects. Here we go. Let's see what happens. Undefined variable update effects, line 137. Did I not? Oh, is it siphon effect? Yeah. Need better errors. Player effects, okay. Player effects, enemy effects, enemy. Of course. All right, here we go. Now we get a chance to try this. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. Boom. Applying heat wave effect to enemy. Player picked up item. Wait, what? Huh. Wait, picked up what? That ain't right. Oh, what? Okay, apparently every time the the power up comes on the screen, I automatically pick it up. That's not right. Okay, let me check this out really quick. Oh, I didn't call the right function. This is going to be right here, make effect. I need to add this to the enemy. So enemy add effect, car enemies, and then we're going to drop that make effect right in there. This is a huge chunky function. Okay, so something is wrong in the implementation, but we can fix that. How far away do I have to be? Yeah, player picked up item. Yeah, I didn't actually pick it up, so yeah, okay, cool. Boom. Enemy add effect. Enemy add effect. It's exported. Enemy effect. Oh, I think I put it in the wrong order. No. Undefined variable enemy add effect. I think in ooh. I don't think I can pull in enemy into this file because enemy pulls in player already. No, it doesn't, does it? Huh. Interesting. Okay, let's try that. Siphon enemy. Enemy add effect. All right. I think that this needs to be in its own module, but for now we'll just go with this because it's going to work. Is that the right one? No. Here it is. Let's get some more enemies on the screen first before I blast them. Operants must be numbers, line 287 in script. 287. Heatwave damage effect renderer. Okay, interesting. Enemy size. Okay. What about enemy? Do I have a X, Y, and size? Okay. Operants must be numbers. Renderer enemy. 287 must be this file right here. Oh, that's why. Enemy. There we go. Boom. Come on, come on. Hey, there we are. They didn't die though. I see the effect being applied. So maybe I should check. Where is it? Enemy shield set. Enemy. Shield. Enemy shield enemy. Alright, let's just check it afterward. Begin. Display. String. Append. Shield is now. Number to string. Enemy. Shield enemy. And then new line. All right, this is the last thing we're going to try. Just make sure it works. If they don't die, then that's probably just a bug in the logic. String append, we need to pull in mesh string, no problem. All right, here we go. Interesting. I think I'm calculating this wrong. So shield is now, this is not right. Duration times the damage amount, right? Damage amount. This is the way it's supposed to be. Damage amount. And shield is now. Why is it not putting a new line in there? Oh, bad function call. This should make it work. Boom. All right, cool. That guy didn't die. Is he stronger? He may be stronger. Where's another heat wave? No, not that one. Come on, give me a heat wave. There we are. Okay. So the amount of damage that I wanted to do, it's not perfect. There's something wrong with it, I think. So over a particular duration, you should get a specific amount of damage. Damage amount divided by duration. So if it's 20 and duration is 5, that should be what? 4 per second times time delta. I think that's wrong still. Yeah, I'll have to figure that out another time, but it does work. We can see it working, just not exactly the most correct implementation. So we did a lot today, actually. Let me go back to our to-do list. We did that. We had not done random drops when killing enemies or destroying pickups from their shot, but that's just sort of like, minor stuff now, I think. But we have validated the entire system works for Siphon speed boost, yeah. So we can add a few of these also, but we validated that the system works for pickups, that get applied immediately, also items you can use at any point, and then the fact that you can apply effects not only to the player but to enemies on the screen. So that's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. Let me just go ahead and check in this code. Let's just go ahead and indiscriminately check it in, I think. I'm not going to review it too much, just, you know, sanity checking, make sure I didn't leave anything in I don't want to leave. Okay. Add enemy effects and player usable items with deferred effects. Cool. Update todo.org. And that's it. So we will be back on Thursday. And I'm not exactly sure what we'll do. We may do some more of the game development stuff, or we may do something else depending on what people like. So if you enjoyed watching, you know, the game development stuff we've been doing the last couple of weeks, let me know in the comments or in the chat. Or if you're interested to see something different, like maybe working on potentially Flux Compose again, some various aspects of that, let me know, and we might do that on Thursdays. So just whatever you say is what we'll do. So until next time, thanks so much everybody for being here. I really appreciate you joining me and watching me stumble through this process. And until next time, keep it creative. We'll see ya.